Today we are going to be talking about an article that a good amount of people have sent to me, but we're not going to read the whole article because a lot of it's stuff that we've talked about extensively. But this is the article right here, and the title of it is, "These 4 social media influencers were swept up in a movement that claims obesity is perfectly healthy. The tragic truth is they all have died under the age of 45, right? It's from the Daily Mail, which does not have the best track record in my opinion. But it mentions different people that we've talked about. Here's Waffler69, who we talked about. This was a woman we haven't talked about. And they also talk about Brittany Sawyer, who we did make a video on as well. And also Jamie Lopez, who, again, we made another video on. I'm not going to, again, a lot of this is stuff that I've already kind of covered. But there is a section of it that I feel like kind of goes over basically what the whole article is kind of trying to say. And so it's this part right here. It says, "This past decade has seen extraordinary momentum building around a central argument that being obese doesn't have to mean unhealthy. In other words, you can be fat and fit. Branded health at every size, or HAES, the philosophy has at its heart laudable goals." I think I might have said that wrong. "It aims to counter the multi-billion-dollar diet industry, which has a poor record when it comes to long-term sustainable weight loss." That is true. And act as an antidote to the stigma encountered by people struggling with their weight. The idea is that rather than shame overweight people and force them to diet, they should be encouraged to embrace their bodies, find exercises they enjoy, and eat more nutritionally. But some say these philosophies have been taken to extremes, particularly on social media, by celebrating morbid obesity while ignoring its serious health dangers. Now, obviously, I think that a lot of what they just brought up were things that I've kind of said. I'm not saying that they got this from my videos, but those are things that I have said before. I do want to just let y'all know that I do have a fitness app. So if you're someone that is, you're struggling getting started, or you're nervous about getting started, you're nervous about going into the gym, I have an app that has workouts for people that have 0 equipment, or if you have literally like a single dumbbell or a single kettlebell, so very light equipment, very low equipment. And I have these 2 different programs that are made to help you just get started and get comfortable moving your body. And on top of all of the workouts that are in there, there's also a community. But you can also message me directly through the app if you have any questions. And I am always open to answer as many questions as possible, let you guys know anything you might need to know, or about the app, about the workouts, anything like that. So if you ever have a question, you can message me on the app. I just wanted to let you know that it is available, and I would really, really appreciate it if you would check it out. There will be a link in the description. You can get the first week for free, so you can test it out and see if you even like it. But I would really, really appreciate that. Again, the link is in the description. Someone that I really respect, Spencer Nadolski, or Dr. Nadolski, who is an obesity specialist, actually did a little bit of a reel kind of talking about this and sharing his thoughts. And I thought his thoughts were pertinent. I thought they were interesting, but obviously I have my own things as well. But I think it's good to have someone that is actually an expert in the field kind of share their thoughts, and then I can, just say what I think as a dumb YouTuber.
Article that talks about a few influencers who unfortunately died from what appears to be obesity-related complications, including heart attacks and that type of thing. I already see influencers pointing fingers, talking about how, look, obesity is bad for you. I told you so. You should lose weight, and this is what happens.
I think doing that is just doing like I told you so is just crazy to me. I think that talking about the genuine concerns that you might have, or I don't think that there's anything wrong in and of itself about talking about someone passing, but I do think there's a way that you can do it, and I try my best to do it in a way that's tasteful, and that's not just being like, look at this person, they're fat and they died, and see, I told you so, right? I don't think that helps anyone in the long run
when you just go along your life having obesity. I want to make sure that we take a moment to talk about how dying is serious, and it can be really sad and painful for friends and family. Today, I don't want to come here and wag my finger and tell you that obesity is bad for you. I want to go over the facts of obesity in terms of risk and what you can do about it.
So one thing that I really have appreciated about Spencer over the years that I've known him is that I feel like we have very similar ways of thinking and ways of conveying our message. He is obviously very much so believes that obesity can be very much so unhealthy, and it leads to a lot of very unhealthy health markers. But he also isn't just saying that if you're fat, you're bad and you are going to die soon. And it's like more nuanced than that. He always does, I feel, in my opinion, a really good job sharing that. And that's why I really liked this video of his.
Let's talk about how not all obesity is the same. This is showcased by talking about two different people. Let's say somebody has a BMI of 35. They're very active, pretty good cardiorespiratory fitness. They run, bike, lift weights, that type of thing. Cardiometabolically healthy, lipids that look better than mine, blood sugars that are stark normal, no inflammatory markers at all, no knee pain, osteoarthritis, no obstructive sleep apnea. Juxtapose that.
So basically, this is someone that is just, you look at them and you're like, oh, that person's a little overweight, right? But they're also super active.
Compare that to someone, let's say, who has even a BMI of 28. However, they have type 2 diabetes. They have adipose fat tissue in their liver.
So that might look like what we've coined on the internet as like skinny fat, right? This is someone that you've probably seen them, right? They look relatively thin, but they maybe just have like a belly. And maybe they're going through health complications, right? So that's kind of who he's explaining here. They don't work out. They don't have a lot of muscle mass, stuff like that.
That's causing inflammation. They may have some other dyslipidemias and other insulin resistant markers and inflammatory markers. That person with insulin resistance, they store most of their weight around their abdomen and inside around their organs, despite them having a lower weight and BMI. That person with a 35 BMI, despite having what appears to be more adipose tissue, but stored differently, that person has their adipose around their thighs and their buttocks.
So what he's explaining here is that, I'm sure you guys have heard, but like they talk about how fat that is on your stomach is more dangerous than fat almost anywhere else, right? Because the reason is that they've found through research that a lot of times when people have a good amount of their fat stored around their stomach, the negative implications are so much higher than someone that might have fat stored in their legs, in their butt, and on their chest or whatever, right? It is so much more dangerous through the research of having that fat stored, a significant amount of it stored on your stomach.
We can't just say you have obesity and you're unhealthy. We should be clinically and individually assessing each person that we see. There are many reviews going over the difference between metabolically healthy and metabolically unhealthy obesities, such as this one. And here's a couple differentiators of the two terms. Metabolically healthy obesity is quite rare. It's somewhere between 5 to 15% according to the studies, and it depends on the definition that they use. Some definitions allow for people to have a couple markers of metabolic syndrome before they deem them unhealthy. But honestly, in my opinion, even if you have one marker of metabolic syndrome, that could be dyslipidemia, a low HDL cholesterol, a high triglyceride level, or a high blood pressure or blood sugar level, I think that's metabolically unhealthy.
So I think I really like that distinction, right? Saying that if you have one of these, that means that you're not as healthy as you could be. But I think one thing that he brings up that I think is really, really important is that he talks about the fact that he does believe there are people out there that are quote unquote metabolically healthy and obese, right? They're metabolically healthy and they are technically obese. But he says himself that it's a small amount, right? And so still the majority of people that struggle with this are going to be considered not healthy based on these things, right? The things that he's showing. And so I think that it's important. Like he doesn't completely say these people don't exist, but again, it is the minority in what is a much larger majority.
That's quite rare, but it does happen. I do have patients that seem quite normal according to their biomarkers and their quality of life and everything else. And when you see people walking down the street or on social media, we can't necessarily say whether they're healthy or not unless we do a deeper dive into their health and weight health history. We also don't know if they're even trying to lose weight or if they want to lose weight. It's really up to the individual and between them and their clinician. Dr. Spencer, are you saying that if I have metabolically healthy obesity, I shouldn't even try to lose weight? No, here's the deal. There are people with metabolically healthy obesity, and they are still at a higher risk for cardiometabolic disease because they can transition into a metabolically unhealthy obesity as well. The whole point of
And like, I think for me to add to that, which I know he didn't ask, but to add to that is like, I've talked a lot about like, health at every size, and like a lot of them are younger and stuff like that. It's been a thing that I brought up. And I think that it is important to bring up, right? Like a lot of these people are younger, and as you get older, these things become more serious. At least that's what I've seen. Right. And like, I know that people have heard the meme before, like, you see a lot of, obese people, you see a lot of older people, but you don't see a lot of older obese people, right? I know like some people think that it's kind of like tongue in cheek, or it's kind of a joke, but I that's something that I truly think that's something that I see. And like when you do see someone a lot of times that is a good amount overweight, that is older, their quality of life usually isn't the best. And so I think that encouraging people to not go down that road is not a bad thing. But again, at the end of the day, if someone wants to do that with themselves, they have every right to do that, right? And so that's a choice that they obviously can make if that's what they want to do, right?
This video that I'm making is not for anybody to use somebody's weight against them and to shame them. The whole point is to show your risk from a factual, scientific approach and to individualize care between you and your clinician. This may mean trying to maintain your current weight and health, or it may mean trying to use lifestyle recommendations to improve your health and weight. It may mean adding medicines on top of your lifestyle. It may mean adding surgery and medicines and all of the above to help you lose weight. How aggressive you are with losing weight depends on your current risk. Someone who is metabolically healthy and has obesity may want to just maintain their weight and continue healthy behaviors depending on their quality of life. But again, it's between them and their clinician.
So basically what I heard there is the more at risk your weight is putting you at with all of those things that he brought up, right? But I feel like an easier way to say it is like the more significantly overweight you are, right? If you see someone that's 600 pounds, it's more common to see that person decide to get some sort of weight loss surgery or take, especially now, medications, right? Spencer works with, well, now it's Weight Watchers, but it was this thing called Sweet Sequence where he's like one of the leading people in helping people get the GLP-1 medication. So he is definitely not someone that is against people taking medications or deciding to go down the route of surgery as well. And this has been something that's been interesting to me because I've seen this conversation, so many people talk about like, people need to lose weight, but then also they get upset if someone decides that they want like to lose weight. They feel that going down a surgery route is best for them, or using a GLP-1 is best for them, or whatever diet, right? And so I feel like my stance has changed with this over time. I think I used to be, when I was younger, a lot more like natural is the only way because that's how I did it and that's how everyone should do it. But at the end of the day, I want people to be healthy and be able to live the life that they want. And if that means surgery, and that's what they have to do, if that means medication, whatever, right? Like that's, at the end of the day, that's the goal. And as long as that thing is being used for what it should be, I think that's something, if someone wants to take that step, they should be able to do that, right? Without ridicule or people making fun of them.
Someone who has much higher risk with all sorts of obesity related complications may want to be more aggressive with their weight loss. So I'm taking the stance of we should not be shaming or wagging our fingers. We should simply present facts and help assess and individualize care for each person. We should also not just be putting our heads in the sand and saying that obesity is not unhealthy either. We should just be stating facts and going with individualized care.
Yep. So that's basically the entire video. And like I said, for the most part, I agree with what Dr. Nadolsky said. I do think he's someone that's pretty smart and knows what he's talking about. I've had him on the channel a few times, so maybe that makes me biased. But let me know what y'all think down in the comment section down below. I would appreciate that, and I'll see you next time. Peace.